Hi guys, today we're going to be doing student handout 6. Today we're going to be multiplying and dividing integers using an algorithm or the set of math rules. We kind of alluded to it yesterday, but today we're just going to be using the multiplication and division rules to be able to go through and do our multiplying and dividing of integers. So let's go ahead and get started on student handout number 6. Integers can also be multiplied and divided using an algorithm. Go ahead and write that down, which is just a fancy way to say a set of math rules. So the important thing to kind of keep in mind as we're going through this today is that whenever we are talking about these rules, and this year we're just going to be talking about multiplying two numbers together, but sometimes there can be 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7. But these rules apply when we're talking about multiplying or dividing two numbers together. The rules are a little bit different when we get more than that, and that will be more into 7th and 8th grade math. So it says if the signs are the same, meaning both are positive or both are negative, then our answer will be positive. So a positive times a positive, or a positive divided by a positive, equals a positive. A negative times a negative, or a negative divided by a negative, that equals a positive. So 6 times 5 is 30, and negative 6 times negative 5 also equals 30. However, if our signs are different, meaning one is positive and one is negative in our integers, then our answer will be negative. So a positive times a negative, or a negative times a positive divided by a negative, or a negative divided by a positive will give us a negative answer. So let's go down and just talk about some different expressions that can give us these numbers as a solution. So we're going to talk about division problems and multiplication problems that give us these numbers as solutions. So negative 18, I know that my rules tell me if I'm going to get a negative answer that my integers have to have opposite numbers. Our signs have to be different. So I know that 9 times 2 equals 18. So in order to get a negative 18, I can multiply negative 9 times a positive 2, and that would give me a negative 18. I could also take a negative 18 and I could multiply it times 1, and that would give me negative 18. I could take 36 and divide it by a negative 2, and that would give me negative 18. I could also take a negative 6 and multiply it times 3, and that would give me 18. So here they're asking us just to create expressions. So that just means create a number sentence, but don't put an equal sign and do not solve it. So let's come up with some more. To get 40, I know that it's positive, so both of my numbers will either have to be positive or negative that I'm multiplying together. So I know 4 times 10 is 40. I know 20 times 2 equals 40. I know that I could take negative 80 and divide that by a negative 2 and get 40. I could also multiply 8 times 5 to get 40. So all these are possibilities, and there's probably others that you would have. The main thing is that we know that both signs have to be the same in order to give me a positive answer. So 12, I could say 24 divided by 2 is 12. I could say 3 times 4 is 12. I could say negative 6 times negative 2 equals 12. I could also say 48 divided by 4 would equal 12. Again, the main thing is that my signs have to be the same to give me a positive answer. Now we're talking about negative 28. So this means my signs need to be different. So 7 times a negative 4 would equal 28. Negative 14 times a positive 2 would give me a negative 28. A negative 4 times 7 would give me a negative 28. Let's see. I think negative 56 divided by 2 would give me a negative 28. No. Yep. Negative 56 divided by 2 equals negative 28. So now I want you guys to go and fill in solutions for these ones down here. I've modeled for you how to do the top. Go do this on the bottom. Pause the video and then come back and check. Just see how you did. We probably will have different numbers, but that's okay. All right, let's see how you did. So to get 24, I know my answers both have to have the same sign. They both have to either be positive or they both need to be negative. So one way to get 24 I know of is 6 times 4. Also, I could have 48 divided by 2. I could have 12 times 2. And I could also have a negative 8 times a negative 3, and that would give me 24. You might have other ways, and that's okay, just as long as they give you a solution of 24. This one I had negative 20, so I could have negative 4 times 5. I could have negative 10 times 2. I could have negative 40 divided by 2. And I could also have a negative 5 times 4. The big key is that one of them has to be negative and one of them needs to be positive. Now to get 7, I could create a bunch of different division problems in order to give me a solution of 7. So I could have 21 divided by 3. I could also have negative 7 divided by negative 1. I could have 7 times 1, and I could also have 1 times 7. All those would give me a solution of 7. Now to get negative 15, my signs are going to have to be different. So it could be negative 5 times 3. It could be 45 divided by negative 3. It could be 30 divided by negative 2. It could also be negative 15 times 1. So all those are possibilities. You may have some others, and that's okay too. Let's go ahead onto the back and start applying our understanding to some real world math problems. So this first example is a game. I'm going to model for you how to do round 1, and then you're going to do round 2 on your own. This says Quinn and Leo are playing a game where they are given 2 numbers and they must multiply them together to find the third number in the row. So you're going to underline this direction because it tells us that we're going to be multiplying the first 2 numbers, and when we do that, they're going to give us the product that's going to be the third number. Then we're going to multiply the second and the third numbers, and that will give us the fourth number. And then we're going to multiply the third and the fourth number, and that'll give us the fifth number. We're going to keep doing that same process until we get to the end of the row. And we need to figure out who won this round. And we do that by figuring out the person who has the largest value in the 5th column. They're the winner in each round. So let's look at round number 1. We have Quinn and Leo are our 2 players. So we're going to multiply together 2 times a negative 5. My signs are different, so I know I'm going to get negative, and 2 times 5 is 10. Now I multiply the second and the third number. So I have negative 5 times negative 10. My signs are the same, so I'm going to get a positive 50. Now I'm going to multiply the fourth and the third number together. I have a negative and a positive. My answer will be negative, and negative 10 times 50 is a negative 500. Now let's see how Leo did. So 4 times negative 3, my signs are different. I'm going to get a negative 12. Now I'm going to multiply negative 3 times negative 12. I'm going to get a positive 36 because they're both negative. And now I'm going to multiply together negative 12 times 36. Now I don't know that off the top of my head, so I'm just going to write it out and solve it. 6 times 2 is 12. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. I'm going to put my 0 placeholder. 1 times 6 is 6, and 3 times 1 is 3. And we're going to add these together. And here I get a negative 432. I have 2 negative solutions. So to figure out who is the winner, I need the person with the largest number. When we're talking about a negative, we're looking at the number that's closest to 0. So negative 432 is closer to 0. So in round 1, Leo won. So I want you to do the same process for round 2. Pause the video and then come back and check to see how you did. So let's go ahead and look and see who won round 2. We have negative 3 times 2. You should have gotten negative 6. 2 times negative 6 is a negative 12. Negative 6 times negative 12 gave us a solution of 72. Now let's check Leo's work. Negative 1 times negative 5. That equals 5. negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. And then negative 25 times 5 is a negative 125. I have a positive and a negative. So in this case, Quinn won round 2. All they want you to do for 2 through 7 is just go through and use the rules that we've talked about in the algorithm to solve them. So here I'm going to ask you to pause the video, go solve them, and then come back and check your work. All right, welcome back. We're going to go over 2 through 7. I'm going to go through them pretty quickly. 65 divided by a negative 5. If you needed to, you would set this up using long division. Our signs are different, so I know my answer will be negative. 5 goes into 6 once. 1 times 5 is 5. 6 minus 5 is 1. I'm going to bring down this 5. Now 5 divides into 15 3 times. 3 times 5 is 15. So I know that 65 divided by negative 5 is a negative 13. Number 3 is a basic math fact. I have negative 81 divided by negative 9. Since my signs are the same, my answer will be positive. So negative 81 divided by negative 9 is 9. Number 4 is also a basic fact. I have negative 49 divided by 7. My signs are different, so my answer will be a negative. And 49 divided by 7 is a negative 7. Number 5, again, if you needed to set up that long division problem, you put 84 divided by 6. Both my signs are the same, so my answer will be positive. 6 goes into 8 once. 1 times 6 is 6. 8 minus 6 is 2. I'm going to bring down the 4. 6 goes into 24 4 times. 4 times 6 is 24. So negative 84 divided by a negative 6 equals a positive 14. And number 6, I have negative 76 divided by 19. My signs are opposite, so I know I'm going to have a negative as my answer. I have 76 divided by 19. I know that 19 is pretty close to 20. So if I skip counted by 20 to get close to 80, I'd say 20, 40, 60, 80. So let's try 19 times 4 and see what that gets us. 9 times 4 is 36. I put down the 6, regroup the 3. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 3 is 7. So 76 divided by 19 is 4. And since 1 is a negative, our signs are different, our answer will be a negative 4. Number 7 is also a basic fact. I have negative 56 divided by negative 8. My signs are the same, so my answer will be a positive. So negative 56 divided by negative 8 was 7. Let's do our last word problem together before you get started on your homework. So this says, one January day, the low temperature in Fargo, North Dakota was negative 8 degrees. The temperature rose 4 degrees every hour for the next 6 hours. And then it says after 6 hours, what was the temperature? So let's write down the information that we know. We know that the low temperature was negative 8 degrees. We then know that the temperature rose 4 degrees every hour for 6 hours. So it went 4 plus 4 plus 4 plus 4 6 times. That's repeated addition. So we're probably going to use multiplication here. And what we're trying to figure out is what was the temperature after 6 hours. So we're going to have to do 2 steps here. First, we need to figure out what was the temperature change over these 6 hours. And then we got to figure out how do we get from our negative 8. We're going to add the temperature change there to figure out our ending temperature. So let me show you what I mean. In order to figure out our temperature change, how much our temperature went up, we need to look at how many degrees did it go up. So it went up 4 degrees, and it did that 6 times. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 6, and that's going to give me 24. So our temperature changed by 24 degrees. So now I need to figure out where did we end up. So I need to start at negative 8. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 24, our temperature change, to that. Well, I know my addition and subtraction integer rules. So here my signs are different. So I'm going to subtract 24. I'm going to take 24 and subtract 8 from it. And because I have more positives than negatives, my answer will be positive. So 24 minus 8 is 16 degrees. So I now know that the temperature after 6 hours was 16 degrees. So I just wanted to know how much, where did we end up at the end of the day? So you're going to bring this into class, show me that you've completed it, and then we will tape it into your notebook. Tonight for homework, you're going to be doing homework number 6. In order to solve this, you have to solve the 5 equations on the left and the 5 equations on the right, and then look for 2 that match. And then down here, you're going to read the word problems and go ahead and solve them and bring it to me when you're done so that we can go ahead and check it. Great job today.